Now that we have our Java class for our users, we need to create a table to store the users in, because remember, we actually want to store the users inside of our MySQL database. So I've opened up MySQL Workbench. I'm going to go ahead and go to my local instance, type in my password for root. Then inside here, we have our protein tracker schema. You'll notice that we don't have any tables, but we can right click here, click create table. And you could just generate the SQL for this yourself if you want to, but I find this tool to be pretty useful. So I'm going to go ahead and call this users. I'm calling this users plural. That's usually the convention that I use. And then we're going to add some columns. So the first column, we need an ID. By default, it gives us ID users. I like to call mine ID since we already know this is the users table. It is set as the primary key. It is set to be not null, so we can have a null value there. Then we need to add the name. So we'll make the name, instead of varchar 45, let's go ahead and make this 100. That should be big enough for a name. We'll make it so this is not null as well. And then we need to have our total, and we should probably make this an integer and not null, but we can make a default value of 0. And then finally, we need a goal. So let's go ahead and put our goal, and we'll make this an integer as well. And then this should be not null. We can put the default value of, let's say, 100 here if it's not specified. Make sure we get rid of this extra column that it created for us. And now we have everything we need for our table. Notice that this matches our data from our class. Now, we happen to use the same names here, which is going to make our mapping easier, but I will show you how you can deal with if you have a different column name. It is definitely best, though, if you can use the same column names as you have in your Java class, because it's going to make things a lot easier and they're going to make a lot more sense. It will just be easy to figure out what column things map to. Let's go ahead and click apply, and you can see it generates this DDL for us that basically will create that table. I'll click apply, and now it's finished running that. And if we look, we have a table users, but it doesn't have any data in there if we select from there. So now we have our table, we have our Java class. The last thing we need to do is to create our mapping file.